I have a great idea,
But I'll
never do it. It might happen. Sure, the monkeys might fly out of my butt. I don't think so.
I don't see it happening.
Hey, everyone. It's me, John.
And me, Louise.
And you're listening to I Have a Great Idea, but I'll never do it. That's our jingle.
Dun, 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 dun. This is a great American podcast where we talk about great ideas that we have that we'll never do.
Yeah.
I don't know why I just said American. I don't know why I did that.
Well, we're not in Switzerland. All of the other episodes were recorded in Switzerland.
Yeah.
That's not true. That's
No.
a complete lie. I'm in Portland, Oregon. Louise is in New York City.
Maybe our satellite through outer space to connect us also tipped off in Switzerland. We don't know.
Maybe it's like bouncing off of a signal somewhere right above Switzerland.
Yeah.
And that's what we're feeling.
I'm feeling
Swiss style.
Yeah, I'm feeling really Swiss style. Although I'm
Yeah.
also feeling really American because I said that. Well,
And what a time to feel American, huh? Anyway,
what a
different
time.
podcast. So, yeah, this is the podcast where we talk about all the great ideas that we have that we will most likely never do. I'm not going to, never is a really strong word.
Sure is.
Even though it's in the title of our podcast. But, we don't know what's going to happen.
no. And I'm a black and white kind of gal. Like absolutes are good by me. But I also, freedom to change if I feel it. Never hold
Yeah,
me to my
totally.
never.
Yeah. Oh, and just a heads up for everyone out there, if for some reason there maybe isn't a podcast that goes up, in like a couple weeks or whatever, okay, it is for sure that between this podcast and the next episode, I will have become a father. So I know. So if there's any lag in anything, it's because I'm like figuring out how to keep a person alive. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's where I'm at with that. I have a feeling it's going to happen today because, first of all, last night was a full moon, so I'm told. This morning, our electricity went out for a few minutes, and it was weird. And then when it came back on, I went to go take a shower, and I was like in the shower, and the entire tension rod with the shower curtain fell down, and I was like, things are spooky today.
Yeah.
Something is going to happen.
Oh man, I wonder if she's a clock stopper.
Oh my God. I hope not.
I was gonna say I hope so. What a cool superpower.
I hope so for her sake, but for my sake, that sounds like it would be problematic. Like she'd be like, I don't like the way that things are going down. I'm going to use my superpowers and totally screw over my dad.
My dad is
My
gonna
dad.
get it. Stopping all the clocks.
All of them. I'm actually wondering, do I have any clock-related ideas? I don't, but I think that they pretty much all have to do with electricity. No, they all have to do with science.
Okay.
They're all kind of like science-y.
Okay.
How about you? Did you have any themes for your ideas for this episode?
The only mine is kind of like a technological idea.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know how many people it will serve other than me, and if it will make people more upset than happy. But let me just go for it.
Go for it, please.
Chris is super into watches, speaking of clocks and clock stoppers, and he's been going a
look at
little
that.
bit overboard with buying changeable straps. And
Okay.
so maybe every other day we get a small box that has 2 or 3 or 5 or 7 different colored, patterned watch straps that he can put on and off 4 or 5 different watch faces that he has. In any case, I should talk because I also have a problem, but it's more just consumerism, where I'll lay in bed at night and think I should really buy those pants, and I think we do need a new duvet cover. And I know John doesn't like fitted sheets, but we just need a new one. And so I will just online shop at nighttime and forget that it happened. So I'll get boxes and be like, what is this? And so I was going to say chemicals, but is that right? Like no drugs or alcohol. I'll just come out and say it.
Okay.
Involved, just sleepiness, and things will come. And so the idea to get around to it is to delay on a purchase that you might make at a time where you're not sure you're making it. So I don't know if that messes with shipment due dates and whatever, but maybe you adjust it on your device to be like, if I have purchased this thing between the hours of 2 a.m. and 4 a.m., don't let me buy it.
Right. Or maybe it's the kind of thing where if between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m., that's when you checked out or whatever, it doesn't fully check out until maybe like 10 a.m. the next morning, and it like pings you to be like,
do you really
sure you
want
to do this?
Yeah. I kind of need that.
It's funny that you bring all this up for a couple of reasons. So first of all, Laura, my wife, she and I we're really good at dealing with like conflicts, and we are pretty good when it comes to like making compromises about things. And she has some things that she wants me to get on board with in terms of like decluttering things and making sure that things have a proper place and whatever. And I had noticed that at the time that she was mentioning this, the house did seem a little cluttered because there were a lot of empty shipment boxes that had been piling up from things that she had ordered, whether they're impulsive or it's just like, I read an article and we need this or our baby's gonna die like instantly, there's so many things out there. So we just have like this huge influx of shipments coming to the house. So I said, I will work on making sure that, things have a home. But I need you to work on ordering less things online. If there's something that you need, let's see if we can find it locally so we have less packaging material. And then if we can't, then we do it, order it online. So
it's also super crazy that you bring up like cluttering, because for the month of July, I've decided to do the minimalist challenge.
Really?
Which is on the first day, you get rid of one thing. On the second day, you get rid of two things. On the third day, you get rid of three things, and so on. And I noticed immediately that I was going to have a huge problem when it got into be like when it gotten to be. You guys, I've been researching some things and now I'm developing some weird mannerisms.
Oh no.
But when it's gotten to be the 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, and I have to continue this challenge, I'm going to have a really hard time. However, I've already thought about it. You know what it's going to be?
What's that?
Documents! I'm just going to scan and get rid of documents and be like, and that's 1, and that's 12, and that's...
And then your final object that you can get rid of is the paper shredder that you had purchased in order to destroy the documents.
I might just light them on fire.
Ooh, then your lighter can be the final thing that you get rid of.
Because I just feel like for the past 10 years, I've had one kind of a job and worn a particular kind of clothes. And then recently, having not had that job, been like, oh, I need all these clothes. And then went a little overboard with the online purchasing at hours of the night. And now I'm like, do I need all these? I have too many clothes. They don't fit places.
Well, yeah.
Or just like silly things, like people will give me little trinkets for whatever reason. Like, this is a notepad and it's shaped like an L, which is not efficient for taking notes of any
very
kind or anything. And
practical.
I'm like, I don't even have a desk. I should just get rid of this, or don't. I mean, like, not throw it away, but donate it
Yeah.
to someone else who wants to give a meaningless gift that's not useful at all.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely, just knocked into the microphone. There's something to be said about, decluttering and getting rid of things. You live in a small apartment.
Yep.
So there's definitely incentive to, clear some stuff out. I live in a big place, and it's easy to accumulate things because it's like, well, I can put it there, and there's more options. And then after a while, you're just like, why do I have all this stuff? Mm-hmm. So
I have like a deeper question if we can keep going on this theme. You are the baby of 3.
Right.
I am the only. What is
Of
your
one.
What?
You're the only of one.
What is your relationship to things that are yours or things that were handed down to you, and like your mom saying things like, you guys have to get rid of this, or like what's your story about that?
I don't remember ever really being told that I have to get rid of things. I never really accumulated too much stuff. And I was always pretty good at just like trashing things. If I was like, I haven't looked at this in 5 years. Will I ever need to look at it again? Probably not. So I'm pretty good at getting rid of stuff. I'm not a sentimental person, or not an overly sentimental person, because there are certainly things that I'll be like when you and I, and we've talked about this before, when we went to a wedding together in St. Louis, we took some photo booth photos, and I have those sitting somewhere. They don't take up any space.
No.
But it's like, I don't need to get rid of that. That was a lot of fun, and
That
it's
was
Louise.
fun.
And, it's like if you and I had like drifted apart and weren't really buds anymore, I might not be holding on to things like that as
Right.
long, but I don't know. Who knows? But that type of thing takes up no space.
Right. It's
Bigger
flat.
items,
It's small.
bigger items I really have no sentimental feelings towards. I don't know. We go to Goodwill to drop stuff off like 3 times a month, maybe.
I live across the street from Housing Works, and I feel like at least once a season we drop off 3 or 4 bags worth of stuff, whether it's just like, and these were those gifts that I got from that person for, Christmas, and I didn't want to not take them because that apparently causes too much of a problem, even though I feel like I've got my own opinions about that, and we've perhaps talked about that in the past, but I'm never going to wear this thing or these socks or whatever, and somebody could wear socks. So why not?
Right.
And they're brand
Yeah.
new.
Yeah. Oh, we've been getting a lot of like brand new baby stuff where we're just like, we're never going to put our kid in this. So somebody who's going to the thrift store who needs clothing for their baby will be very happy to find something that still has a tag on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my relationship to stuff and things is I'm an only,
Right.
and I can't remember if it was like my mom or my cousins or just the daycare that I was at, but I was always, maybe it's probably just like ingrained into my personality, but I'm like, I will be the best at everything, including sharing. However, when it was my own room, like my mom's rule growing up was kind of like, if it's in your room and it's got a place, you can keep it. If it's in the rest of my house, I get to decide. So I would
Okay.
put like everything that I had in my room, in my closet, in my toy box, under my bed, in Tupperware, like whatever. I like had all my stuff that I needed. And one year I went away to music camp because I was the coolest.
Of course.
And music camp was 2 weeks long, and it was sleepaway camp. And I came back, and like half of my belongings were gone. My room was recarpeted and repainted in different colors that I did not choose. Like I said, I was at sleepaway camp, and I'm pretty sure I was out of elementary school, definitely. Like, I wasn't in 5th grade or something. I'm pretty sure I was in like 8th grade and or a freshman in high school when this happened. So I really felt violated.
Yeah.
And so that trauma still to this day like haunts me. And so I will go through things, even clothes that don't look good, that don't fit, and be like, oh, but I remember the very first time that I wore this, and then that person said this to me, and I will wear it again, I promise. And I'll fold it and put it back again.
I feel like that's come up before.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mayor, come on, man.
So this is a super hard challenge for me, and I'm already 9 days in, and I'm doing really well.
Good. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
So I have a few things to kind of spin off of that one, but one of my ideas that I actually never wrote down, and I have a feeling that this has to exist, but I, like a lot of people I know, and it's a popular device, own an Apple Watch, and I have never really liked the silicone like watch band that came with it, but my options are a little limited. There's nylon ones, but they're like kind of meh, and then there's like the steel ones, which are prohibitively expensive, and also like, what am I, my grandfather?
Yeah.
Who wears those? And then there's the leather ones, and I don't do leather, but I like the look of that, and I have plenty of like faux leather bands for watches, and I feel like there needs to be some sort of adapter that can take watch bands that aren't designed for an Apple Watch and, you know, to kind of fit them in to use with the Apple Watch. There has to be a thing that exists like that, right?
I don't think so. I think they've got the cornered market. Or wait, do you mean
market
also
cornered?
in the terms of that Casetify like has to wait till they get the measurements for all of their cases for iPhones and iPads, but so you don't have to buy an Apple iPhone case if you want a case. Like, you mean like that, but for watch bands? Like, somebody has to have the specifications.
Just an adapter. But that's like, all you need is just the piece that goes in there, the measurements for that.
Yeah.
And then you can...
There has to be.
There has to be. There was another thing that what you were just talking about made me think about
being crazy.
No, not Mayor. Mayor's got enough time on this podcast. I love you, Mayor.
Speaking of, side note, Chris and I went out with an old college friend of his last week for sunset drinks on the river, and we were talking, and he was like, "Oh yeah, Mayor," and in my head, so I did a show in April. I know we've talked about it, but Mayor came to my show, and so did Chris's college friend. But he left immediately after the show because he had someplace to be, and we went out for like socializing and drinks after the show. And so Chris had just assumed that Alan had met my mom after my show, and he was
shout out Alan, by the way.
Shout out, and he was like, "No, I know her from the podcast."
Yeah.
She's famous.
Super shout out, Alan. I remember the other thing I was thinking of that you were talking about. So we were talking about bringing things to like, thrift stores or whatever. Recently, I replaced a few lighting fixtures in my house. One of them was just like kind of ugly, and another one was in the baby's room, and it had like an exposed light bulb situation, and I was like, that's really harsh to look at, and I just don't love that that's, in that room. And I personally wasn't a big fan of the thing anyway, so I actually am planning, maybe I'll do that today, bringing them to this place called the Rebuilding Center, which is like architectural salvage type stuff, and just donating it to them. But what the idea that I had that is that was brought on when I was changing these lighting fixtures. So, have you ever changed a lighting fixture, Louise?
Have I ever?
Have you ever? You have?
Yeah.
Okay. So
There was one
there's
time,
something.
just a quick side note, because think about Bear, where I was in her bedroom, because she had a TV in her bedroom, but I didn't have a TV in my bedroom, and I was in there, and she had a ceiling fan, and I was just in there watching TV, and the ceiling fan, like, dropped out of the ceiling, so my Uncle Mark and I changed that whole lighting fixture.
Oh my God. So my house is pretty old. It's from the 20s, and the wiring is a little suspect. Everything is fine, but like, when you're changing out a lighting fixture or a ceiling fan, it's a very archaic method of like taking exposed wire and like twisting it together and like putting these caps on and stuff. And things don't always necessarily fit right, and you have to get like adapter plates to do stuff, and it's just kind of like clunky. So there needs to be something that like you just have to not rewire, but to install one thing, and then every other lighting fixture that you buy, you can just kind of like snap on and twist, and you're good to go. So it's just like an adapter to make it all just plug and play, and you don't have to worry about, if you're going to zap yourself, like this thing is just done once. Maybe you call an electrician if you're not feeling comfortable. They get everything all set up, and, every lighting fixture you get from then on, you just kind of put the adapter plate on and go pop, and it's good to go.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah. When I did the first lighting fixture, it was like, I don't know, is this the right way to do it? Here, let's buy some fire extinguishers just in case. But yeah, that was one of mine. Yeah.
You had said something that I was going to comment on too, but now I can't remember what it was, and I was going to write it down, and I was like, no, I won't forget, and then I did.
During this whole spiel?
Yeah. It
All right,
had
so
something to do
bringing
with
stuff to the architectural salvage place, electricity being really weird and archaic, and having to.
Oh, I remember.
Twist. Okay.
You said my house is from the 20s, and
Yes,
I had like a weird get stuck in the Matrix moment where I was like, holy crap, pretty soon we're going to have to differentiate what 20s.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be the roaring 20s again.
Oh, I can't wait. Yes, I can.
Oh, man. And boy, will we be roaring.
For things
That is kind of
against
crazy.
things, right?
Ugh.
Ugh.
How did people do it when, who were born, let's say, like in the late 1800s, once it was the 20th century, were they just like, oh, man, it's about to be 1920. We can't call the 1820s the 20s anymore.
Yeah, I mean, we should try to look up some documentation, some letters or something that people wrote when they were like, oh, man, I feel so weird.
Yeah. Man, it's so crazy.
Ugh, it's so crazy. Feels so weird.
Yeah, it's just like someone's old, like, tweets from 100 years before tweets were a thing.
It's
like, isn't it crazy how it's going to be the 20s again? Weird.
They're like just like sitting out, shuffling through papers. Ah, so weird. I should send this thought to all of my friends.
Yeah, I'm going to submit this to the paper. The like handwritten leaflet that's passed around town.
The pamphlet. Silly.
But yeah, have you had a lot of other ideas the past couple weeks?
The most potent idea that I've had that's stuck around the longest, because sometimes I'm like, oh, I have an idea, I should write it down. I won't forget it, just like I just did.
Right.
And then I do forget it, or I do write it down and then I'm like, where's that piece of paper? Which is why I should always just put things in my phone. But I'm trying to not be so dependent on my phone anymore. And last night, I'm happy to say, I went to a party and did not look at my phone once.
Hey,
I left it
good.
in my purse. I put the purse on the couch, and then I went out to the patio and did not look at it once.
Nice.
I was impressed with myself. I don't know if anybody else is like so, but like I was impressed with myself. Anywho, the idea that stuck around with me from these past few weeks is previous episodes we've talked about movies and things getting ratings on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever. I need a new movie rating system, website, program where I can put in my specific types as part of a
Right.
questionnaire, and then it gives me percentages like based on other people also liking that. Here is an
Oh.
example. Rotten Tomatoes. For the most part, if I haven't seen a movie, will rely on what the tomato rating is to tell myself whether or not it's worth it for me to invest the next 2.5 hours of my life into this thing.
Yeah.
However, we were talking about Three Amigos.
Three Amigos. Yeah.
And I don't know if we looked it up the last time or if it was after the podcast. This is rated very low
Yeah.
on Rotten Tomatoes. And in my head, I'm like, but how? And I know
That should be certified fresh.
that should be certified fresh. And the thing is I understand that it's dated and there's probably some insensitivities and
Oh, the whole movie is insensitive.
right. But that shouldn't mean that I don't know, it's such a hard fine line, because if it is offensive to some people, they should definitely have their voice be heard. But God, in my head, it's just one of the greatest comedic movies. And
Yeah.
I don't want to miss out on a movie. Let's say Spaceballs. I don't know what that's certified fresh or whatever, but I, like something of that era
Right.
that is equally as comedic. I want to be able to have time be a freshness gauge. I don't know what the system would be called or how you would rate it or gauge it or whatever, but I also know that for the most part, something like Goodfellas, I'm totally into. I just started watching The Sopranos. Sometimes I get nervous and I have to leave the room. But I want to be able to say I like Goodfellas as a movie without it being like, here's more like that,
Right.
which is a lot more in depth of a thing. And maybe I don't have the time to answer the questions that would pop up or
Yeah.
whatever. But
Yeah, this would definitely require like a pretty extensive questionnaire, but
or like
perhaps
an
enjoyable
algorithm.
one.
I just feel like if Pandora can do it with like what song comes next, and you can thumbs up or thumbs down,
Right.
and it learns what you like,
Well,
this should be for movies too.
I think that there should also be certain parameters, like you're talking about like cultural and racial insensitivity for Three Amigos. Maybe that's like there's like a meter that based on what people have, selected, like thumbs up or thumbs down, it will give you like the meter of how racially insensitive it is without any like explanation, because who's got time to read a bunch of stuff? It's like,
Right.
just tell me, is this going to be offensive to me or not? And then maybe another thing, and I know that this one's a big one for people, but like, does a dog die in this movie? Because I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
That could be its own separate app.
Yeah.
Like, if you put in a movie and it tells you like which moment to look away.
Yeah. Or okay, so specifically, and this is just maybe for a person like me, it should just be like, if we're gonna go in this direction, like the dog the Beware of the Dog movie app. And a particular movie that I saw one of my first years living in New York City, because I remember the theater. It was an independent movie theater, and the movie was called Tsatsi. Do you remember this movie or whatever?
I never saw it, but I remember it.
2004 to something like that, 2005, 6. The synopsis is that this like sort of gangstery guy in South Africa, not a gangster, but like a not a juvenile delinquent either, but like a rough around the edges, making poor choices dude.
Yeah, wrong side of the tracks.
Wrong side of the tracks, yeah. Finds this baby by accident in a paper bag, and how that changes his life and his decisions. Now, without giving away too much more about the movie specifically, there are moments where, you know, his humanity is showing, and he's like having a hard time like then leaving the baby somewhere, even though he didn't mean to acquire it. And he's like not good at babies, because why would he be? And he gets this can of condensed milk, and he tries to like put some on on his finger and then feed the baby, and then he has to go. So he leaves the baby in the paper bag with the little bit of food and comes back later. Could have been moments, could have been, I don't really remember the movie all too much. But he comes back and he opens the bag, and there's like a ton of ants on this baby. And I'm watching the movie and I'm like, okay. I guess, okay. Like, and there are people in the theater kind of squirming. And I'm like, whatever, okay. The movie goes on. About an hour and a half into the movie, a dog gets kicked. I get up and I leave. I don't know how this movie ends. I could not take it. I like immediately was like so upset. I went from 0 to 60, burst into tears, and was like, I have to leave. And I left.
Wow.
And it's like, it's the same thing happens with me and Game of Thrones, which I no longer watch. And The Red Wedding was my last episode, and most people are like, too gory for you, eh? And I was like, no, you can stab people and chop off their heads as like much as you want, but at the end of the episode they put a crossbow inside of a kennel, and you don't even see it. You just hear it. And I like fell to my knees and like bawling and was like, I can't, it's too hard.
Yeah.
That would be a really, really beneficial for me movie rating. Another side story, if we're going to keep getting derailed. Sure. In grade school, we had to read Where the Red Fern Grows, and then we were going to watch a movie, and I got to read a different book and watch a different movie, or go to the library while the rest of the class watched the movie during class time, and work on a different project, because my mom wrote a letter to my teacher and was like, absolutely not.
Whoa.
She is too sensitive to this specific thing. She'll do twice as much work as everybody else. She's not doing this.
Whoa. Way to go, Mare.
And I didn't. Yeah. I mean, she's got her
You've
moments.
redeemed yourself in this episode.
But watch your step. It's a slippery slope, Mare.
Yeah, right. Okay. I'm looking at my my idea list and seeing if I have anything that can kind of go from that. Let's rewind a little bit and talk about when you did go away and Mare painted your room.
Okay.
I'm just saying it's Mare. I don't know who actually painted the room, but your room was painted just so that I can work with the segue of wall paint. So my idea is wall paint, interior wall paint, and please tell me if we've talked about this before, because it felt a little familiar. But paint that's kind of got embedded in it, maybe like a certain type of alloy or metal or whatever, so that you could stick magnets to it.
Whoa!
Have we never talked about this before?
If we did, I totally forgot.
Okay,
and
cool.
I'm just as excited. Do you have
How
any idea
great would that be?
how like amazing that would make hanging artwork? Just put
That's
magnets
exactly
on
what
the back
I'm-
of the frame.
Okay, so I have
I am
some
loving this.
art. I have some art for myself, also stuff for the baby's room where it's like awkward sizes where if I'm going to get a frame for it, it has to be custom made, and that's going to cost $1 zillion. And I know that you do the thing with like the binder clips and whatever, which is, you know, it doesn't always work. It doesn't always look the way you want it to look. Although, shout out binder clips, you're amazing. I love you. But if a wall had the ability to stick magnets to it, then all you need are like little magnets for the corners.
Yeah.
And you're good to go.
And you could put a little style in
You
there.
could.
If you were a child's bedroom and you had the things on the walls, you could put those little colored letters and numbers on the
You could.
corners to put it up. But then they're like maybe a teenager and now they want stars and guitars. Just change your magnets. Don't bring your credit cards in that room, though.
No, but I feel like the chips, if we're going back to the whole chip card reader things, you know,
Yeah.
I feel like they're immune to the whole magnet situation. But it's also like it's not going to be super powerful. It's just like just enough so that a magnet will stick to it.
Yeah. Well, that's remarkable.
It'd be the same
I
as having
love it.
a refrigerator that you can put magnets on.
Yeah,
You can bring your credit card in the kitchen. It's okay.
it's true. You're right. Oh, God, I love it.
Right?
Yeah. I do. I mean, like, just to go a little bit farther with interior decorating, not necessarily like just sticking it to magnets, but if you wanted a little warmer, a little more natural feel, I mean, the paint and the magnetic thing in the paint doesn't change the structure of the wall and doesn't
No.
limit you to color. But I was like, you could just put like floor to ceiling cork board, which is cork sustainable?
It's controversial.
Okay.
I believe that the sourcing of cork is a little iffy. The problem with cork boards, though, is that like after a while they can get kind of weird and like worn. And,
Yeah, I
chunks
guess like
can fall
little
out and
pieces
stuff.
come out. Yeah, no, you're
Yeah.
right. You're right. I was like, otherwise, like that could be a cool thing too, and then you just have push pins.
Right. Yeah, but if you don't want to put a hole in your art,
Magnets. See, this is why
Magnets.
that's the superior idea. I agree.
yeah. But I
okay.
appreciate your trying to advance things.
I'm just trying to innovate in the moment, and sometimes you got to kill your babies.
That's cool.
Oh.
All about it.
I'm so into that. It's also like sort of not just for artwork, but you could get different magnets and then you could like hang a jacket or
Yeah.
part of my minimalist project for myself is normally we have these cabinets in our bedroom and they're IKEA kitchen cabinets, but they have nice doors on them and I put clothes inside of them. But sometimes I will wear clothes, jeans, t-shirts, whatever, and it's not like I wore it the whole day and it's not dirty enough that I need to throw it in the laundry. So I'll just put it on the top of these cabinets. And Chris is always like, get your clothes off the cabinet. But I don't like have a place for clothes that I've worn so they're not super clean. So I don't want to put them back, but not dirty
Right.
enough to wash. And I'm like, oh, there could be like just little hooks behind the door in the room, so they're not on the floor, they're not on the cabinet, but they're on the magnetic wall just hanging, and then it's like quick grab and go when I like need to I just want this magnetic paint now. What a great idea.
We had this pretty much same exact issue at my house with the whole I've got these clothes that maybe it's stuff that I only will wear like in the morning if I'm like going out to walk the dog. It's
Yes.
like a sweatshirt or something, but
Then
I'm
I'm
not going
going
to
to
hang it back
change
in
to
the
go to work, but then when I
Yeah.
come home from work, I'm going to take off the uncomfortable clothes and put on the dog clothes again.
Right. So I have a small, right next to the bed, on my side of the bed, like a little holding area for that like intermediary clothing. It's just actually an IKEA shoe rack.
Yeah, I was like, can you broaden that? A holding area.
Yeah, it's just like a place where clothing can go that isn't clean, but it's not dirty. And it just needs to kind of stay there. Or maybe it's the kind of clothing where I'm going to be accessing it regularly and it's inconvenient to keep it someplace else. But it's not like a pile on the floor or a pile on a chair.
Right.
It's
Or
maybe
a
just
cabinet.
like draped over. Yeah, it's just draped over the top of this like shoe rack.
I need to get a thing like that. Or like right now, my solution after doing pretend minimalism is that I have these cubbies in the closet, and most of them are stacked nicely and folded nicely, and this one is just the front half of the cubby.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, just set it there, and then when it gets too many clothes or too cluttered, then just put them in the dirty laundry. Or like, I don't know. That's not really a solution, but I'm working on it. The
Yeah.
point is, I'm trying.
That's all that counts.
The point is,
So I see that we're already like over 40 minutes. Do you want to move on to our challenges from last time?
sure. I say sure because I'm a little not confident. I toggled back and forth between what I thought the challenges would be and how I could improve on the things, and so I'm a little bit judgmental of myself this time, but we can move on. Yes, let's move on. Do you want me to
wanna
go first?
Do you want to
Yeah.
go first? Okay, go first.
So my challenge from you from last time was braces.
Braces.
And for a while, I was like, a knee brace, a wrist brace. Like, I went that direction, and I thought, like, there's, you know how sometimes kids have bathroom crayons where they're in the bathtub and they can, like, write on the stuff. So if it was like a wrist brace, I thought you could have washable markers and you could, like, style it, or you could, like, dip it like an Easter egg to color it a different color, but then it wouldn't come off on your skin for whatever reason. But if you washed it in a particular thing, it could be, because sometimes you don't want to have, like, a blue one every single day. Then I went to teeth braces, and I was like, well, I, for a time, did Invisalign. I was not a happy customer. My teeth aren't that bad to begin with, but I'm a snacker. I'm a
Yeah.
squirrel, and every time you had to snack, you had to pop them out and then pop them back in, and then you had to, like, brush your teeth because you didn't want them sitting in those little trays. And then there's the old school braces that are the little squares on your teeth. And I remember when I was of the time when I probably should have had braces, but my teeth aren't that bad, like I said. People would put these colored rubber bands on them,
Right.
and the only thing I could think of was, like, mood rubber bands.
Oh.
So you know how if you were feeling a certain way,
Yeah.
or your body temperature was a certain way, they would change color, the rubber bands, based on your mood.
Interesting.
That was, like, all I thought of, because I was like, well, you can just buy different colors.
Yeah, but you can't put them on yourself. The orthodontist has to put them on.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. See, as somebody who never had braces, I was like, you
Yeah.
just, like, change the colors.
No, I mean, when you go to the orthodontist and they're messing with stuff, that's when they can change them. We actually live near an orthodontist, and Portland is an extremely bike-friendly city. And a lot of businesses will have different bike racks outside of their place that maybe the eyeglass place has ones that look like a pair of glasses. So the orthodontist near us, Braces by Dr. Joe, has these ones that look like teeth with braces on them, and you attach your bike to, like, the wire. And for different holidays and different occasions, he will change like,
The
I don't
color
even
of
know
the
what
wire?
it is. Not the color of the wire, but I don't know what it is exactly, but he puts, like, these kind of giant, I guess, like, bands around them with different colors. So Christmas will be like red and green, and St. Patrick's Day will be green, and
I
you know.
love this guy.
yeah,
And his bike
so,
rack.
Yeah, so it's like I appreciate that, or whoever works there who's, like, having fun.
People having fun. That's what I want. Okay, yeah. So I feel like I failed a little in my braces challenge because I was hung up on what kind of brace it was. And then I was like, chances are, if you've got like an injury where you need to wear a brace, you're not thinking about fashion. You're thinking about like pain and inconvenience. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
Well, I do like the Mood rubber bands.
Yeah, that was like
That's pretty cool.
Like an innovation on a play on an old trick.
Mm-hmm. I like it. So you had challenged me, and when we're recording this, we are a little less than a week past the 4th of July, and you had challenged me to ways to celebrate that are like not only dog friendly but also family friendly. And I don't remember if you said it explicitly, but we're talking about avoiding fireworks, or at least the big booms and stuff, because man, oh man, do I hate how my darling dog Daisy responds to fireworks.
Yeah, it's just heartbreaking.
Which somebody set one off last night, and I was like, dude, really? Because of that one decision that you made, my dog now has to sleep in our bedroom like next to me because she's terrified.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's actually right now, she's in her the like hidey hole that we made out of like a dog crate for the actual 4th of July that's like covered in blankets, like a sensory deprivation station for her. So we're not going to, it's impossible to change everybody's mind about using fireworks on the 4th of July. It's just impossible.
Yeah.
You can go places if you have the option. Maybe you can go someplace where you're miles and miles and miles away from the nearest firework, but that's not going to be everybody's situation. In a fantasy world where people will all decide to stop using fireworks, this idea lives. And it is certainly a fun way to celebrate and can involve, bright lights and stuff. But I think that it's time to just explore glow in the dark and blacklight technology and have parties with that kind of stuff for 4th of July, rather than, going out and setting off explosives.
I like it.
It'll never happen.
I know.
It'll never happen.
You know what I just thought, though?
What?
As you were saying this idea, I was like, it would be super great to do, like, a basketball court sized or bigger basement dog park.
Ooh.
That you could check your dog into for like a super fun 4th of July festivities.
Yeah.
So that they're underground so they don't hear it, and with other dogs, and distracted by like an agility course and also toys and stuff. And it could be sort of like not sleepaway camp, but like after school daycare for your dog on the 4th of July, when we know specifically that those sounds and things are going to be happening.
Yeah. It's tough. You just want to do everything you can for these little critters.
I know, and you can't explain it to them. They don't understand logic.
And I wish I could understand what about them makes these dogs go crazy, because it's not like they're aggressively loud. Certainly fireworks on the TV are much louder and clearer.
I was going to say, we've watched TV shows louder than fireworks.
But that doesn't register. There's something about the fireworks themselves. I don't know if it's like...
The smell?
The smell of it. I don't know.
For the smell of it.
Yeah, I don't know. But something must be done for our poor doggies. I'm just going to throw this out there, but maybe next 4th of July... you guys come on out to Oregon, bring Road Dog, and we'll go on out to like the woods and have like a puppy party there, because there's no fireworks out.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Consider this your invitation.
Woo woo!
Yeah, so challenges for next time. Do you have anything lined up?
I do. I
What
would
you
like
got?
you to innovate a thermos.
Thermos. Okay. Thermoses are pretty hot right now. And that's not like a play on words.
I liked it though. I liked it though.
No, but for real, they're super popular right now. Okay. So for you, and this has to do with something that had gone on in my life recently. I want you to come up with a better and easier to install, although I don't want to give you too many parameters,
Okay.
but window covering solutions.
Okay.
Cool?
Yep. I'm writing it down.
Thermos window covering solutions. And I'll just tell you a little bit about what happened. So we ordered these blinds from this company. I will not say their name, but we have used them in the past at another place, and they were great, and they were inexpensive, and the installer was amazing and was very fast. This time around, the installer was a big dum-dum. He was very rude. He thought he was being nice, but he was being a jerk without realizing it. I think it's just like someone who doesn't realize that what they're doing and saying is rude. He put a lot of unnecessary holes in the wall that I then had to like patch and paint over, which meant I had to go like get more paint and all that kind of stuff. And then after he left, we found a rusty razor blade on the floor in the baby's room. I know. And also just like a bunch of screws, and he left a bunch of his tools at the place. And this wasn't this guy's fault, but like one of the blinds was like too short. They measured wrong. Yeah, it was just like, ugh.
Sounds like a mess left and right.
Totally. So, that's why I need you, Louise.
That's why I'm going to try to
The
think of
world
something.
needs you.
Yeah.
The world needs you. And all right, so obviously everybody should call in their great ideas to 304-804-IDEA. Write in your
Especially
great
people who
ideas.
have seen IRL who have said, hey, I have this, and I stick my fingers in my ear and I'm like, la, 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 call in.
We know that you all have ideas and that you're hiding from us. Please share. 304-804-IDEA. Call them in. Write them into greatideapod@gmail.com. We're at Great Idea Pod everywhere. We have a Patreon up. It's patreon.com/greatideapod. You can get some neat things if you would like to make a donation to us so that we can keep this podcast going, and our new podcast that we are actually going to maybe record the first episode of in a few minutes, Louisa to Beaver.
I'm excited.
The podcast in which Louise and me, Louise's co-host, talk about each episode of, and there are a lot of episodes of Leave It to Beaver. We have both never seen it before,
Right.
to our knowledge.
I've seen bits,
We've all seen bits.
but not ever like sit down and consume an episode.
Yeah, and I'm just going to say, I've been like, as I've been watching them, I've been like digging deep and doing some research and like finding new things out. And man, oh man, there's some fascinating stuff going on behind the walls of the Cleaver household. I'm just going to put it that way.
I'm really pumped.
Yeah. This was an idea that came to me in a dream. I had a dream that we had this podcast and we are making it happen. And
Believe
we
in your
figure-
dreams.
we figure, why the hell not? It's gonna be a lot of fun, and we hope that you enjoy taking this ride with us.
It's also like in my head a way for baby boomers to get into podcasts, because maybe
Sure.
they're like, I don't want to listen to a news one, or like the kids are doing some weird stuff, but take
Yeah.
this trip down memory lane with
And
something
if-
you're totally familiar with.
If you have any thoughts about Leave It to Beaver or Louisa to Beaver, you can write them into louiseittobeaver@gmail.com, which I just registered before we started recording this episode of this podcast.
Nice.
Yeah. Finally,
Well-
an email address that hasn't been taken,
I think that's swell.
isn't it? All right. Well, thank you all for listening.
Yeah. Sticking it out with us. Thanks. Thanks
And
for hanging
thanks
out, John.
Thanks for hanging out, Louise. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
I don't see it happening.